Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a full series review of Elsie Silver's Chestnut Spring series. I absolutely adore Elsie Silver and she is what got me into cowboy romance full time. Safe to say it's summer and I'm officially going to be back in my cowboy romance era and I cannot wait. I have a few books left to read before I can get there, but when I get there, I tell you, it's literally going to be all I talk about is cowboys and wanting a ranch and living in a wide open space in some place. Maybe not America given its current climate, but you know. So I very much loved the Chestnut Spring series and all of the books. I can't pick out a particular favourite. The layout of this video is, like I'm doing now, I'm going to give a brief overview of the whole series, and then I'm going to go through each book one by one and talk to you a little bit about it and a bit about my favourite things. Because I don't think I've done like a full in-depth review video for video or post for any of Elsie Silver's Chestnut Spring series, and I feel like they deserve their own moment and their own video. So basically, the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver follows the Eaton brothers on their ranch with their dad Harvey, as each of them fall in love. You'll get to one book in the series, I think it's about the fourth, where it's not someone that's particularly related to the Eatons, but related to the first book's main female character, if that makes sense. But I can explain that better when I go through each book individually. There's so many different tropes that I didn't know I knew I needed in my life till I read these books, because each book covers kind of different trope, different characteristics, different characters, different vibes. If you read this book series, I can guarantee there is a book for everyone in this series. It's a 5-book series. The covers that I'm showing off are the covers that I know of because I bought them in the works. I know there's so many gorgeous editions out there now because these books did get really popular, but I absolutely love these covers. I think the colours match perfectly, and overall the series is just really beautiful, really emotive at times. There is a lot of different topics covered, so I would say maybe some, sorry if you could just hear my necklace in the microphone there, I'll just remove that. I will say if certain books maybe have some trigger warnings, nothing major, but covers a lot of different things that maybe some people aren't as comfortable with as others. So without further ado, I will get into talking about the first book. The first book in the Chestnut Spring series is Flawless by Elsie. I'm gonna keep saying by Elsie Silver, but you know by now with how much I've mentioned it that they're by Elsie Silver. So maybe I'll just say the title of the book. Anyway, this is Flawless. This is book number 1, and oh my god, this is what kicked everything off for me. This book follows Rhett Eaton, and he's kind of a bit of a cowboy, a bit of a ranchman, but he's also been on like the bull riding circuit, and his image starts getting a bit of a bad rep. So his like managers pull in a PR person, and the PR person happens to be the boss's daughter. So it's kind of like a boss's daughter trope, which who doesn't love that? Let me read you the blurb. The rules were simple. Keep my hands off his daughter, but now I'm stuck with her. There's only one bed, and well, rules are made to be broken. I'm the golden boy of professional bull riding, or at least I was until it all blew up in my face. Now, my agent says I have to clean up my image, so I'm stuck with his ball-busting daughter for the rest of the season as my full-time supervision. But I don't need a goddamn babysitter, especially one with skin-tight jeans, a sexy smirk, and a mouth she can't stop running. A mouth I can't stop thinking about. She says this means nothing. I say this means everything. She says there are boundaries we shouldn't cross, that my reputation can't take any more hits, and neither can her damaged heart. I say I'm going to steal it away. Rhett is a classic cowboy bad boy. I didn't mean for that to rhyme as much as it did. But I absolutely adore him. He isn't my favourite Eaton brother, but I'm also going to say, I don't know if it's Eaton or Easton, and I really apologise. It has been a long time since I read the first book, but it's Eaton or Easton. But I know first names better, so this is Rhett and Summer's book, and good girl, bad boy, she's from the city, is not used to country life at all, and it definitely takes her a while to settle in. She does have a lot of trouble to begin with Rhett, because he doesn't want a babysitter. He thinks his image can be just fixed by itself. And Summer is very much of a different opinion to him. There is the one bed trope, and it's a fabulous book. If I haven't mentioned yet, these books are spicy, so I say 16 plus. The reason I don't say 18 is because I think it depends on the age of the person. Like, if you have a 16-year-old and you think they're mature enough to read these books, I don't see why not. There's different levels of spice. It's open door, but like not too open door, I would say, from what I remember. I actually really think that these are a great first-time cowboy romance, because it's not full cowboy. Like, they own a ranch, but Rhett isn't like proper involved in it in the beginning, so that's a fun storyline to see play out. Summer is a very complex character. You think she's just this good girl at first, but she's kind of gone through a lot in her life and had a lot of upsets and different things like that that made her feel very protective of herself, and you definitely see her learn to open up more in this book. And her story, I think, is probably one of my favourites, just because of how much she transforms and begins to love country life. But yeah, for the first book in a series, it definitely pulled me into wanting to read the rest, as we can tell. So this is Flawless by Elsie Silver, and all of them, by the way, so I don't have to repeat myself, were 5 stars in my opinion. The next book in the series is Heartless, and this is book 2. And a lot of people this is their standout favourite, because it follows Cade and Willa. Cade is a single dad, and Willa gets hired as his nanny. There's a very funny scene at the beginning of the book that I won't spoil, but it kind of sets the tone, and I love it. This one I definitely say is a lot spicier than the first one, so if you are looking for a bit more spice, get through book 1 to get to book 2. You definitely need to read the books in order, because it gives a lot of stuff away otherwise. They're definitely not standalones by any means. And now I will read the blurb for this one. Working as a nanny for the world's grumpiest single dad should have been simple, except I can't keep my eyes off him, and he can't keep his hands off of me. Cade Eaton is 13 years old, older than me, and barely looks my way until I get him in the hot tub for a game of truth or dare. Then all bets are off, and so are our clothes. He's gruff, a little rough around the edges, but it turns out broad-shouldered ranchers with filthy mouths are this city girl's kryptonite, so who am I to resist? And when he softens in our quiet moments together, I start to realise his hardened exterior is just a facade. Someone once convinced him that his best wasn't good enough, yet I've never felt more cherished than I do in his arms. My contract may say this arrangement is only for 2 months, but my heart says this is forever. I absolutely love Cade and Willa's relationship, and Cade is your classic grumpy sunshine. The tropes are grumpy sunshine, it's a single dad nanny, age gap, there is an age gap, but I love an age gap. If you have a problem with age gaps, please try and see a different side of it in this book, because Cade definitely needed Willa's energy to kind of make him realise that he was worthy of love again after everything he'd gone through. I'm trying not to give too much away, because I want people to be able to like get an idea of these books, but actually from this video pick them up and read them themselves, because I feel like if I give too much away, people just be like, well, I know what that's about. but this one is also a massive found family for me. I mean, they're all found family, but this one has some really poignant moments in it, especially from Willa's side of being a nanny and looking after the kids, and kind of, I think in a way she probably falls in love with the kids as much as she probably eventually falls in love with Kate. But it's so sweet and definitely spicy. There's some hilarious moments as well, some very comedic moments. As you read the book, you'll realise that their dad Harvey Eaton is very much a no-filtered person and doesn't realise half the stuff that comes out of his mouth sounds very much very dirty and very wrong to be saying at family dinner, but we love him for it. So this is Heartless. Now, this is Powerless, which is very funny because at the same time as people were talking about this Powerless, a lot of people were also talking about Lauren Roberts' Powerless. So it gets very confusing at times when you've got a book that came out similar time with the same name. But no, this is Powerless by Elsie Silver, and this follows Sloane and Jasper. You meet them in the first two books, and you kind of get to see like some of the history, but you don't really get to see all of the history until you read this book. And this book kind of ripped my heart to shreds and then put it back together again bit by bit, because Sloane and Jasper are childhood friends. They have always loved each other, but nothing's really happened, or maybe a little bit happened, and then kind of life has took them in two different directions. And Jasper was definitely a man that needed a little bit of guidance and a little bit of help to get his head around the fact that he was desperately in love with his childhood best friend. But again, I will read the blurb. Two childhood best friends, two broken hearts, one impromptu road trip to get away from everything. I've been living in the friend zone for years now. To Jasper Gervais's fans, he's just the hockey heartthrob on TV. But to me, he's still the lost boy with the sad eyes and a heart of gold, the man I've loved in secret for years. So when my life falls apart on my wedding day, it only makes sense that he's the one to swoop in and save me. And when his world comes crashing down around him, I'm there to return the favour. But the more time alone we spend together, the more I start to realise that Jasper isn't looking at me like a friend anymore. And he isn't touching me like one either. He acts like he wants me, but after years of turning me away, he's going to need to prove it. Jasper definitely has much of a redeeming arc to go through in Sloane's eyes in this book, but it makes it so much more worth it. Jasper isn't an Eaton, but he got adopted by the Eatons, which you do learn in the first two books, but you discover a lot more in this book about his history and his backstory, and a lot of the reasons why the way he is. It's just beautiful. It is a much more, I would say, emotive book to maybe the others, but it's not that doesn't take away from the spice. It's definitely still very spicy. And there's some great scenes that are really powerful in this book that kind of show Jasper's progress and also Sloane's development, kind of side by side. So everyone was like, the last three books of the series are a bit but that isn't my experience. I feel like the books just got better and better as you see this whole gang of people coming together with their different relationships and falling in love and being happy and working out problems together. And the way the first two books' characters are always kind of interacting with all the rest of the characters and everything, it's amazing. So this is Powerless by Elsie Silver. The fourth book in the series is Reckless, and this one definitely caught me by surprise because I did not think for a second that these two characters would have a book, but they have a book, and by gosh is it good. This does have the accidental pregnancy trope, which I don't know if I've said in any other videos, isn't always my favourite, but in this book it was my bread and butter. I loved it. It was the perfect way to make these two characters that I'm gonna like read the blurb for fit and make sense, and just the story was perfect and I loved it. So the blurb is, Theo Silver, rowdy bull rider, notorious ladies man, scorching hot trouble wrapped in a drool-worthy package. And he's looking at me like I might be his next meal. I'm almost free of my toxic marriage and have sworn off men entirely. So all I see when I look at Theo is temptation served with a heaping side of heartbreak. The man is hard to trust and even harder to resist. Make that impossible because Theo is persistent, and no matter how hard I try to freeze him out, he melts my icy exterior and pulls apart all my defences. Then I spend the singular hottest night of my life with him. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, a secret, but that little plus sign is going to make this secret impossible to keep. So this book follows Theo Silver, who is a friend of the Eatons, and Winter, who is Summer's sister. If you've got this far in the series, you'll know a bit about Winter. I won't give too much away, but she has also a very much troubled background, especially when it comes to family and her marriage. This book does cover fertility issues and baby loss and things like that. So if that's not something you're comfortable with, I would say you'd be perfectly fine to skip this book, just because you shouldn't ever have to put yourself reading through something that might cause you some issues or emotions that you don't want to deal with, as much as you will miss out on Theo Silver, who is very, very nice. Yeah, I'm not going to say too much more about this book because I feel like it's something you have to experience for yourself when you know the characters a bit more. So this is Theo Silver and Winter's book, and it is number 4, and it is Reckless. Now, this is the last book, and it's the one I finished the most recently because I had a break from this series for a while because I did not want it to end. But this is Hopeless, and this follows the youngest Eaton brother, and I think it's in Reckless and a little bit in Powerless that Bo is going through a lot and has gone through a lot. And this focuses on his recovery and kind of him unmasking himself, should we say. So the blurb is Bo Is it just me, by the way, who always says Bo and not... I don't know how else to say it, so I'm going to say Bo, and if it's wrong, I'm sorry. Bo Eaton is the town prince, a handsome military hero with a tortured past. I'm the outcast bartender, a shy girl from the wrong side of the tracks. He's 35 and all man. I'm 22 and all virgin. He's also my fiancé. Correction, my fake fiancé. We start out as a bet. He doesn't believe that anyone holds my last name against me, so he offers me his to prove a point. It's a win-win. He gets a break from his concerned family's prying, and I get a chance to shed my family's reputation. He says all I have to do is wear his ring, follow his lead, and pretend I can't keep my hands off him in public. But it's what happens between us in private that blurs all those carefully drawn lines. It's what transpires behind closed doors that doesn't feel like pretending at all. This engagement was supposed to be for sure. This agreement, it has an end date. He once told me he'd never fall in love. And yet here I am, head over heels for my fake fiancé. So yes, this has the fake marriage trope, which a lot of people love, and I have to say I love it too. I'm a sucker for a fake marriage that ends in a real love. Oops, was that a spoiler? Nah, it's fine. It's what most tropes do. Bailey is a very interesting character. I know some people who have reviewed this book find her very annoying, but I loved her. I think her annoyance maybe comes from the fact that she clearly comes across as a character who has a lot to prove because of her family history. And I think fair enough to her, because she's experienced what it's like to have that name. Unless you have that name and that history within that town, you're never fully going to understand what it's like to be Bailey, which is what Bo figures out. And I have to say, Bo may be one of my favourite characters. I think it goes Rhett, Cade, Bo, Jasper, Theo. And I love Bo because of how he develops in this book. There's themes of PTSD in this book, so again, another kind of bit of a heavy topic, but it's covered really well, and the stuff he's gone through kind of takes him to the edge, but his recovery is really gorgeous to watch, and also he's trying not to fall in love with Bailey because of the age gap, but it not working is also just hilarious. And their love story is beautiful, and it's gentle, and she heals him as much as he heals her, I would like to say. But yeah, it is a bit of a darker book at times. Probably one of the darkest in the whole series. And there also is hints of what happens, of like their dad's like love story throughout the whole series of books, and it kind of concludes in this one. So if you are a fan of Harvey Eaton, because I don't think Elsie Silver's going to write another book for Harvey. So if you love Harvey from the get-go, it's definitely worth reading the series just to find out what other antics he gets up to and how he causes chaos for the whole family at every family dinner. Because he's a great character. Probably one of my favourites, in all fairness, just because he doesn't care about embarrassing the children, and it's hilarious. Either that or he just doesn't know he's embarrassing them at the time, and then he thinks about it later and just goes, eh. But yeah, Bo and Bailey's relationship is definitely one that a lot of people might, who have reviewed previously, didn't enjoy, but I really did. So I'm really happy that this is how the series ended. So yeah, that is Hopeless, which is the 5th and final book in the Elsie Silver Chestnut Springs series. I really hope you enjoyed my full review of the Elsie Silver Chestnut Springs series. I definitely love to do more in-depth series reviews later down the line. There's a lot of series I could do it for. I could definitely do it for my Shadowhunters, my Cassandra Clare series that I've read as well, if that was something that people were interested in. The reason I haven't posted in a while is I've had a lot of stuff going on. But hopefully in the next few months I'm going to have a much easier time of recording, as my partner is getting an office in the garden. So I can use this lovely backdrop as my filming backdrop, rather than trying to have to make do with some other random room in the house that I'm not quite happy with. I've also got a lot of medical stuff going on, which is why I'm posting to YouTube. I just haven't posted in a while. But I've really missed posting. I'm really glad to be back, and I'm really glad that this is my first proper video back, because it feels like a proper video where I've done, or I hope I've done, a pretty good job, if you haven't already, of convincing you to read Elsie Silver's Chestnut Springs series. She also has like so many other series that I haven't read yet, but when I read them I will totally be doing more full series reviews, because we'll just ignore that. Because I think that full series reviews are important. I would never have thought that reading a full series mattered until I had people going, well, I read the first book and didn't like it, and I'm going, no, you should read the full series, because trust me, the first book could just be a warm-up, especially, maybe not so much with romance, but definitely with fantasy. A lot of fantasy series take a book or two to warm up before you're like, oh my god, why did I ever think about stopping this? Oh, that's the case for me. But I'm going to stop rambling now and sign off and say thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. If you have any other series you'd like me to read and review, please comment them down below. And if you have any other comments from the video, please comment down below, because I would love to interact with you all again. And I know that even though I haven't been posting, I have got some new subscribers, so I'm going to also say hi to my new subscribers. Thank you for joining me at a bit of a low point, but hopefully we'll be getting back up to some regularly scheduled content if I can help it and my energy stays like this. But yeah, thank you so much for watching and see you in the next video.